Welcome to Training Unleashed, the show that will help you design and deliver training that's off the chain and will make a difference. Now, here are your hosts, Cordell Riley and Evan Hackle.
Hello and welcome to Training Unleashed. I am one of your hosts, Cordell Riley. Pleasure to be with you today. Also have the pleasure of having my business partner with me. Evan, how are you doing?
You know, it couldn't be a better day. It is so beautiful outside, and we're talking about my favorite topic, training.
One of my favorite topics too, Evan. We both have the pleasure, and our audience does as well, as having a good friend of mine, Chuck Osgood, with us. Chuck, how are you doing?
I'm doing great today, guys.
Good. So Chuck is the Service Solution and Training Manager with Tenneco. Now, Chuck, you know that I've been in the automotive aftermarket for quite some time, and when I say Tenneco, I immediately know who you are and what you do. But maybe tell our audience here a little bit about yourself, your role, and who Tenneco is, and all of those great things.
Sure. I'll start with Tenneco. So we're a global manufacturer of auto parts. So we manufacture exhaust systems, brake parts, and also ride control, so shocks and struts. We have an aftermarket division, which is what I work for. You probably heard of brand names Monroe Shocks, Walker Exhaust Systems. The other part of our company is original equipment, which is the majority of our business. So I have been with the company for 29 years, all of that in the aftermarket, primarily sales roles. But about 6 years ago, they asked me to come in and take a stab at the training program. I've got a little bit of a background there, and with some help from providers like yourself, we've been able to establish quite a successful program.
Chuck, tell us, why does training matter to Tenneco? I mean, you know, one of the topics that we care about here is getting the word out. Training makes a difference. Why does it matter? Why does it make a difference for Tenneco?
Yeah, so our products, primarily our shock and strut product at our service provider customers, is really not a sale or a replacement that the consumer comes in and asks for. Consumers, when, you know, from a typical automotive passenger car aspect, they pretty much know when their brakes are bad. They know when their tires need to be replaced. But from undercar componentry, shocks and struts, consumers really don't have a lot of knowledge about what the functions of them are, how they relate to the safety of their vehicle, and then also, you know, when worn parts occur, when and why to replace them, what the benefits are. So a lot of our training we've built is very customized. Some of the best practices that we've had from, you know, our field sales teams, you know, talking to these service provider customers, we've translated that into online learning and also instructor-led courses.
So, Chuck, you know, this is a little bit of a different model for maybe a lot of the people that are hearing this, and maybe I just want to have you expound upon this. So, you guys right now are not necessarily building training for Tenneco employees. This is training that you're building that's going out to your customer base to help them do their job better, which obviously helps them and help you. So first of all, I want to make sure I'm right on that. And if so, if you can just talk about that relationship a little bit.
Sure. So yes, we are the manufacturer, and we are training the service providers, which is really at the end of the distribution channel for us. They're quite important to the entire industry, especially manufacturers, because if they don't install the parts that we manufacture, really nothing happens until those parts are installed. So yes, it's been part of our culture to partner with service provider customers for as long as I can remember, and probably way before I was with the company. So it's a really important part of the relationship, and from a manufacturer standpoint, having the ability to educate them on the benefits of replacing shocks and struts, and then teaching them some skills on how to have the proper conversations and good conversations with customers about replacing products is really what we're doing.
Training Unleashed is brought to you by Total Training, specializing in e-learning and interactive online training solutions for corporate, government, nonprofit, and franchise organizations. Total makes effective training easier. Just go to Tortal.net to gain access to real-world tools that can make a difference. That's Tortal.net. Tortal. Tortal.net.
Chuck, could you tell us a little bit about your customer reactions? Are you guys innovative in doing this? Are your competitors all doing this? Does it help you make sales because you're providing these kind of tools?
Our competitors are doing this to one degree or another. Yes, it helps us make sales or replacements primarily, but I think the difference between our program and a lot of other programs is we're focusing more on business consultative skills versus technical skills. Now we've got, all kinds of technical skills that we train on, but what we found from our target audience is where they struggle is really having good, meaningful conversations with consumers. And that's where we feel like we've always done a great job with helping our customers be better business people. And so we've translated that into really some methodologies on how to have these conversations. You can translate it to any product that you want, but there's more difficult products to explain to a consumer, and shocks, struts, and exhaust systems are two of those.
So, Chuck, if I could come back to this for a second, maybe just go a little deeper on this. So this relationship I'm going to talk about. So you guys are a manufacturer. You got your end user customer here that's touching the customer, the motoring public that may need shocks and unbeknownst to them need them. But you got that end user that's trying to obviously convey that need and satisfy those customers. So building the training is one thing, but these are not your employees. I mean, you have a business relationship with the provider. How do you get them to utilize the training? How do you pull them into it? How do you get them to utilize it and adopt it?
And how do you know they're actually using it?
Yeah, so you guys are throwing a lot of questions at me. So,
it's training unleashed, Chuck. We're unleashed.
One at a time. So I guess the nature of the question is how do you partner with these customers to show them the value in the training that we've done? We have some benchmark customers that we've been working with for some time. And we don't mention them by name, but we can actually show people. And we really, started out on this process where we refined what we were doing about 6-7 years ago, Cordell, as you know. We started working with you. And one of the best conversations that I ever had was when we started talking about blended learning. Okay, we knew we were doing instructor-led training. We were doing that pretty well. But where we have a fall off is instructor-led training only really is effective for a short period of time. So you and I had a big conversation about how do we extend that training cycle and effectiveness. And one of the ways is through an online learning program. There's other engagement activities that happen, but you need to make, especially this type of training, more of a cyclical event. And so especially in the business that we're in, we have a really high attrition rate of employees. So it's important when we go in and talk to our service provider customers that we stress the fact that this is not a training that is a one and done, okay? And if you let us, we can show you how repetitive, doing this on a cyclical basis, we're able to increase your replacement rates on products, plus satisfy customers because you'll have a better conversation with them at the same time.
We're so glad you're listening to this episode of Training Unleashed, brought to you by Tortal Training. The difference between Tortal Training and other online training companies is we're primarily a training company with technology, rather than a technology company that does training. Want to find out more? Just go to Tortal.net. That's Tortal, Tortal.net.
How do you know your customers are really using the courses?
So we measure that. We measure it a lot of different ways. We measure it through survey data. We measure it through course completions. We measure it through replacement rate increases and effectiveness there. And so, we really started down this path 2 years ago where when we partner with customers, we are, actually asking them for their out-the-door replacement figures in units. And if they do that for us, we really provide training at a low cost to them, sometimes no cost.
That's great.
Chuck, are you at a point now, and I know you maybe can't talk specifics, but are you seeing results? I mean, so when you look at that data from your customer, are you seeing results that helps your customers and ultimately helps you guys with the sales of your product? Are you seeing results from the training?
Absolutely. So this whole blended learning format where you start with an instructor-led training and then you pick a period of time afterwards where you reinforce it with an online or a web-based training, and then some other type of engagement, whether it's a newsletter or what have you in there. We've been able to show a 20% to 30% lift in replacement rates from some of our target customers. Now, let's just say, the target customers that we've been working with haven't had great replacement rates on the products that we were targeting before, but 20 to 30%, those type of numbers really open some eyes. In addition to that, we have sustained, the replacement rate increases out, I want to say, an additional 90 days. I'd like to extend those out farther, but typically, I feel like that's a good start from the instructor-led training. We're extending out where we expect them to start to fall. We're really flattening out that bell curve.
Chuck, thanks for that. And Evan, I know you probably have another you're going to follow up on, but that's probably one of my biggest passions around training is business people talk about training being a soft thing, or it's kind of a nice thing to do. Training can drive real world business results. And again, if you don't know Tenneco, my encouragement, please go out and Google Tenneco. They are a $1 billion organization that we're talking to here. And we're not going to mention clients, but you would know the clients if we mentioned some of them. But to hear companies like this talk about a 20% lift and linking that to training is huge. So I just wanted to emphasize that. So Chuck, thank you for sharing that. Evan, back to you.
Well, my question is somewhat on the same regard. I'm suspecting, and I'm going to ask, but I would, with the training you're doing on how to actually do the replacements and the things, does that reduce return rates, damage rates, and ineffective workmanship? Does that save the company money also?
Absolutely. We're more focused on that on the the emissions side of our business, and we were able to show reductions in our warranty rate on catalytic converters, primarily through some good, solid training about failures there and what really sets off the light, the mill light, right? So there's a degree of, technical skills that are needed to really understand, when a catalytic converter fails or when it sets off the light, it doesn't necessarily mean that the catalytic converter has failed. So we've done a good job with that, and it has reduced our rates.
Chuck, we are out of time. Very much appreciate, but we like to end these with everyone sharing a training tip of any kind. So we'd love to hear your tip. Okay, so my tip really is if you're not measuring your training and you haven't found a metric that works, I encourage you to find one. That has really helped us down our path, proving the value of what we're doing and tying it back to training. And it was difficult to find a metric, and we found ours. I'm sorry I can't share it with you, but it's a metric that everyone understands within our company because we're investing heavily in training, and without a direct correlation to results, training's the first thing that gets cut, as you guys know. So that's my tip of the day. Well, to your point, I did some work with a not-to-be-named, very large national restaurant chain, and we attract training rates to same restaurant growth, and they increased 4% faster than the people that were not in compliance with their training. So it was a pretty big increase in growth. But the training department got so beat down, they're going, well, I can't tell that to anyone. because the marketing people think it's them, and the merchandising and the food people think it's them. And I think it's time for training people to stand up, because I think training makes a huge difference. And there are a lot of things in business you can't control. You can't control traffic, can't control how many cars, whatever, but you can control is training, and you can make everyone more effective and more efficient. And your point of measuring is spot on. Chuck, thank you for taking your time. Really sincerely appreciate it. I want to thank all the listeners for listening. Cordell?
Chuck, great job. Evan, great job. This was a lot of fun, and what a perfect way to end this, talking about results and measurements and metrics. Great job there, Chuck. Thank you again. Thanks to our audience. Hopefully you like this. Please continue to join us for more Training Unleashed episodes. Take care all. Bye-bye.
This has been Training Unleashed, but it doesn't stop here. Just go to trainingunleashed.net to subscribe to the show. That way, you'll never miss an episode, and you'll be well on your way to delivering training programs that are off the chain. We'll talk to you next time on Training Unleashed.